Hey guys, good morning. Welcome to another episode of Simplicity Made Simple with me, Jessie. This week I want to share with you guys some really simple ideas for organizing your kitchen. I don't know how much time you spend in your kitchen, but I spend a lot of time in mine. And it's not very big, so it has to be really organized. Otherwise, I just get super frustrated because I can't find things. And if I can't find things, then it's going to take me even longer to do what I'm trying to do. I want to get in and make food and clean everything up and get out and be able to spend more of my time doing other things like reading a good book or watching a movie or going for a walk with a friend or hanging out with some friends outside, whatever it is that I might want to be doing. I like cooking, but I don't want to spend all my time in the kitchen. And I especially don't want to spend a ton of time rifling through cabinets and drawers, unable to find what I'm looking for, or keep things from just falling all over the place. I don't want to open a cabinet and have like a Tupperware avalanche, right? No one really likes that feeling. So I have found some really simple solutions that have worked really well for me, and I want to share them with you in the hopes that you might be able to find that kind of peace and organization for your own kitchen so that it's not a source of stress for you, but can be something that you actually enjoy. So there are some really easy things. And a lot of them are items that you can find at places like the dollar store or on Amazon. And I just published a blog post yesterday about some really simple kitchen organization pieces. So check that out. I'll put the link in the comments so that you can actually see more descriptions about things and links for specific products in case you want to get some for yourself. Okay, so first and foremost are bins. I have several of them in my pantry cupboard because I don't have a real pantry. So all of my food is in a cupboard up here. So I love bins like this. These I got at the dollar store, and then I just use printed labels. But you could use masking tape. That's what I have in all of these jars. You could use packing tape and just write on it with Sharpie. You can use chalk labels. You can use any kind of labels that you want. Labels are actually really, really helpful too. But I love those bins because they can corral little things and keep them from sliding to the back of the shelf. I have one on the top for my onions, and I'm actually really excited because I have a bad habit of pushing the onions too far to the back of the shelf, and because it's up so high, I can't see them. And so they go bad and they smell and it gets really gross. Don't lose track of your onions and let them go bad, you guys. It's disgusting. But now that they're in a bucket, I can pull the whole thing down when I need an onion and make sure that I'm not letting anything sit up there for longer than it should, which is fabulous. And then one of the other things that I love are glass jars. And these are just normal mason jars. You can get fancy and get the ones that have the airtight seal that is on a hinge. You can get really pretty ones. You can do whatever you want. I'm looking at some other options in the future, but for now, these are working really, really well. And so I have them for things like dried beans, popcorn, granola. I even put honey in one because I had it in a plastic bottle, but then when it crystallizes, it's a lot harder to warm it up in plastic. So I put it in a glass jar because that just makes it more helpful for me. So those are things that are super helpful for pantries. And then in cabinets that have dishes, like the one right above my computer, we have these little wire shelves. Sorry, I'm trying to keep that from being super crooked. That are just really helpful in elevating. So without it, we wouldn't really have space for all the little cups, and there are more that are being washed right now. So normally this is full, both of these areas, and it just makes it easier to see everything and reach everything without having to move tons of stuff around, because who wants to do that? So those are super convenient. I really like having them around. And then in our cabinet down here, we have a few other things. I'll move my computer so you guys can see. But on the door, on the side, we have a hanging storage area just for some fuller lids, because otherwise they get lost. And we have a command hook to hang up these splash guards. so many things are hung up with command hooks because they're easy to remove if you need to remove them, which is really helpful. They're less permanent. You can, just shift things around if you decide to organize differently, or if you're moving, or if you're living in a place where you're renting and, you don't want to be putting holes in things or making permanent adjustments. So that's really helpful. And we also have a pan rack in the back corner to stack all of our pans so that we can pull one out at a time without having to pull out the entire pile and take them apart. And again, we have some pots and pans that are being washed right now. And then we have another one of those elevated risers in the back so that our muffin tins are elevated and we can get those out really easily. And then we have a lid organizer for all of the pots and pans so that we can get those lids out again without toppling over a whole pile. And a really helpful basket that I just got recently for the lids for all the Pyrex glassware up here. And I think we need another one over on this side. It's always a work in progress, but it's really helpful to keep them from falling over, because before we had that, there was a pile of lids in the back of the cupboard and it just kept falling over all the time. I could never find the lid that was the right size because it was inevitably laying flat in the very back corner of the shelf, and it was just really hard to get. So having that basket makes it easier for things to stay upright, and it makes it easier if I need to pull out the entire basket to find the lid that I'm looking for. So that's something that I've been learning lately. It is really, really helpful to have that in place. So I love all of those wire organizers, and I love the command hooks to hang them up. They're so, so helpful. And then I like having canisters, and I've borrowed a couple of them to lift my computer up right now, actually. So there are 5 of these, but these are really helpful just for regular pantry essentials, things like flour and sugar and brown sugar and powdered sugar, or coffee or tea or whatever you might want to use them for. I love having them on the counter, and I love having ones that have a clear pane in them so that you can see how full or how empty the canister is. I find it really helpful to keep it front and center. Things that you use regularly, it's really helpful to not have to pull them down all the time. So if you have them in a convenient space and in a container that looks pretty so that you're not bothered by the fact that it's sitting out all the time, then it can be really helpful. And these are really simple. I think we actually got these at Goodwill, and I know that you can find them on Amazon. So it's just a matter of figuring out where you want to look for that. And we have some utensil drawer trays that are really nice. They have the grippy insides so that the contents don't slide all over the place. So this is the one that we have in our normal utensil drawer. And it's just so helpful. It's just a step up from the basic plastic one. And I find it really helpful because it doesn't slide around this much, which is really nice, because otherwise you're opening the drawer and the whole tray is sliding all over and the utensils are all over the place. So all of these organizational tools really just help you get your kitchen to a place where it can serve you. So instead of being stressed about your kitchen all the time, you actually just get to use it for its intended purpose. And that stress kind of goes away. You don't have to spend as much time thinking about it or worrying about it. You can just make food for yourself or your family and enjoy that process without going crazy trying to figure out where all of your stuff is. And so those are just some products that are really helpful. And then there are just some things to consider, some questions to ask yourself. How often do you use things? Where does it make the most sense to store the things that you're using? How can you group like items together? How can you make use of strange spaces? So if there are things that you don't use very often, put them in those strange spaces. Like these cupboards that we have above the fridge. We have things in there that we hardly ever use. There's an air fryer in there and a coffee pot in there. We're not coffee drinkers. We have that for when we have company over that likes coffee. So we pull it out a few times a year. And so we put the coffee pot and the air fryer above the fridge. And then we have things that we don't use super often also above the microwave, because we need a step stool to reach those areas easily. So we don't put things in them that we're going to be using all the time. and then our bowls and our plates are in one cupboard, and all of our cups and mugs are in another cupboard, and all of my tea is in the cupboard with the mugs, so that if I'm going to make tea, I have the mug and I have the tea and I have the tea press all right there. And all of our baking stuff is in one cupboard. I've separated the pantry that has the normal dry goods like the grains and the beans and the canned goods from the baking cupboard that has like the flour and the sugar and the hand mixer, those kinds of things, so that my cupboards are devoted to specific purposes. And that has been really helpful for us in figuring out the most logical way to store things in our kitchen. But of course, that's going to depend on you and your family and how you use your own space. And I just want to encourage you to take some time to think about that, to try some things out. Be willing to move things around. Be willing to change it up. You never know what you're going to find until you try. So try some things, see what works, see what doesn't. Even if you figure out that something doesn't work, that's still a step in the right direction. So just be willing to try some things out, give it a little bit of time, ask other people who will live with you what they think, and see what you can find. And try to make it work with the things that you already have before you go out and buy a whole bunch more stuff. I'm a big fan of organizational tools, but they are no match for having organizational habits. So if you have a habit of putting things away and being tidy and trying to keep things organized and figuring out what works for you, that's going to be far more effective than just buying the bins and the little riser shelves and the countertop canisters. Those are great tools, but you still have to know how to use them. So I encourage you to do both, to figure out what kind of practices will work well for you, and then figure out what kind of products will work well for you. I hope that helps you guys love your kitchens and make the most of whatever kind of space you have. I would love to see pictures of your kitchens or hear comments or questions or ideas about other things you would like me to cover. That is it for today. I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your week, and I will talk to you again soon. Bye, guys.